Welcome to Remembering Stars, where Stephen brings you heartfelt tributes to the lives of unforgettable figures who brightened the world with their talent and presence. This channel honors beloved names from film, music, television, and culture, reflecting on the memories, achievements, and inspiration they left behind. Here, every story is a celebration of lives that will always continue to shine. Music. Greater than. Mixed martial artist Alan Nascimento died August 3, 2026, at the age of 34. A cause of death has not been officially confirmed. Hailing from Sao Paulo, he had been competing in Ultimate Fighting Championship bouts since 2021. Nascimento is being remembered as a rising star of UFC who is gone too soon. Journalist Lloyd Robertson died. Music. August 4, 2026, at the age of 92. After spending years with the CBC, he was the anchor or co-anchor for Canada's CTV National News for 35 years, becoming a widely trusted figure as he covered stories of national and international importance. Robertson is being remembered for setting a record as the longest tenured national network news anchor in North America. The music world is mourning the loss of Bob Weir, the legendary guitarist, vocalist, and founding member of the Grateful Dead, who has passed away at the age of 78. Born on October 16, 1947, Weir's life was deeply intertwined with the evolution of American music. In a heartfelt statement, his family remembered him not just as a musician, but as a storyteller and a creative spirit whose influence reached far beyond the stage. Even while facing health challenges, Weir remained committed to his craft, continuing to perform and connect with audiences in the way only he could. His journey began as a teenager when he met Jerry Garcia, a moment that would spark the formation of a band that redefined live music and community. Alongside bandmates like Phil Lesh, Ron McKernan, Bill Kreutzmann, and Mickey Hart, Weir helped build something that went far beyond songs, a culture, a movement, a family. For decades, his rhythm guitar work and distinctive voice became essential to the band's identity. Their music blended rock, folk, blues, and improvisation into something entirely their own, creating a loyal following that still thrives today. Weir's contributions were recognized with honors like induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Lifetime Achievement Awards. But for many fans, his true legacy lives in the sense of connection he created. He is survived by his wife and daughters, who have asked for privacy while expressing gratitude for the love and support shown by fans over the years. Bob Weir's music wasn't just heard, it was felt, shared, and lived. And that spirit will continue to resonate for generations to come. Donald Douglas was a quietly accomplished Scottish actor, whose career spanned decades across film and television, earning him recognition for his steady presence and versatile performances. Born on 7 March 1933 in Falkirk, Douglas developed an early interest in the arts. His education reflected a deep commitment to creative expression, studying at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, along with time at Falkirk High School, Edinburgh College of Art, and University of Edinburgh. This rich academic background helped shape his thoughtful and disciplined approach to acting. Throughout his career, Douglas appeared in a wide range of film and television productions, often bringing depth and authenticity to supporting roles. While he may not have always been in the spotlight, his work was consistently respected within the industry. He had a natural ability to inhabit characters with subtlety, making each performance feel grounded and believable. Colleagues often described him as dedicated and professional, someone who valued the craft of acting over fame. His contributions helped elevate many productions, even when his roles were not the central focus. Audiences who followed British television and cinema over the years likely encountered his work, sometimes without realizing just how experienced a performer they were watching. Douglas lived a long life shaped by creativity and commitment to the performing arts, passing away at the age of 92. His legacy lives on through the many roles he brought to life, leaving behind a body of work that reflects both his talent and his enduring passion for storytelling. Alan Osmond passed away at the age of 76 after living for nearly 4 decades with multiple sclerosis. Known as the eldest member of the Osmonds, he first rose to prominence in the 1970s, becoming part of a musical legacy that touched millions. Yet beyond the fame, Alan's life was a reflection of intention, creativity, and love. He carried a quiet strength that guided his family and inspired audiences, showing that a meaningful life is measured not in years, but in the depth of connection and purpose we create. Strength through adversity. For nearly 40 years, Alan faced a progressive illness that slowly reshaped his physical world, but never his spirit. Rather than asking, "Why me?" he embraced acceptance and growth. Once full of energy and constant motion, he learned patience and discovered a deeper, quieter strength. He allowed life's challenges to teach him compassion, resilience, and understanding, proving that even the hardest journeys can shape us into better versions of ourselves. A heart for others. Alan believed deeply in serving others. Even when he could no longer do everything he once did, he gave what he could, with sincerity and care. Through music, words, and presence, he continued to uplift those around him. He found genuine joy in helping others move forward, showing that purpose does not disappear, it simply evolves. His life became a message that kindness, togetherness, and generosity are what truly sustain us. An ending that inspires beginnings. Alan Osmond's story does not end. It continues through the lives he touched. His journey leaves behind a powerful truth. Challenges may shape our path, but they never define our worth. His legacy is an open invitation to live with purpose, to love deeply, and to keep moving forward. In that way, his final chapter becomes a beginning for countless others. Edith Eva Eger was born on September 29, 1927, in Košice, a city that at different times belonged to Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and later Slovakia. She grew up in a Hungarian-speaking Jewish family with a strong interest in education, movement, and the arts. As a young girl, she trained in ballet and gymnastics, and even became part of the Hungarian Olympic gymnastics team before World War II disrupted her life. War and the Holocaust. In 1944, after the Nazi occupation of Hungary, Edith and her family were forced into a ghetto and later deported to Auschwitz. During the selection process at the camp, she was separated from her parents, who were later murdered. She and her sister Magda survived the concentration camps through unimaginable hardship. At Auschwitz, Edith encountered Josef Mengele, who noticed her as a dancer and forced her to perform. She later survived multiple camps, including Mauthausen, and endured a brutal death march to Gunskirchen in the final days of the war. She was eventually liberated by American soldiers in 1945 while barely alive, suffering from severe illness and physical injury. After the war and new life. After liberation, Edith returned briefly to Košice, where she learned that many of her family members, including her fiancé, had not survived. She later married Bela Eger, also a survivor, and they eventually emigrated to the United States in 1949, seeking safety and stability. Career and healing work. In America, Edith rebuilt her life. She studied psychology and became a respected clinical psychologist, specializing in trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. She earned her PhD in Texas and later taught and worked at institutions, including the University of Southern California. Her personal experiences deeply shaped her professional work. She focused on helping patients overcome trauma, fear, and self-destructive thinking. Her message emphasized that while people cannot always control what happens to them, they can choose how to respond and heal. Writing and public influence. Edith Eger wrote influential books, including The Choice and The Gift, where she shared her story and psychological insights. She became a widely respected speaker, appearing in interviews and documentaries, encouraging people to confront pain and transform it into strength. Later life and legacy. Edith Eva Eger passed away on April 27, 2026, at the age of 98. Her legacy is defined not only by survival but by resilience, healing, and teaching others how to overcome trauma. She remains an enduring symbol of strength, forgiveness, and the human ability to rebuild life after unimaginable suffering. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born on May 2, 1972, in Hayward, California, into a family where wrestling was more than a profession. It was an inheritance. His father, Rocky Johnson, had broken barriers as one of WWE's pioneering black champions, while his grandfather, Peter Maivia, was a revered Samoan wrestling figure. Before Dwayne could define himself, his family name already carried history, expectation, and pressure. His father embodied toughness, discipline, and relentless survival, but emotional softness was rarely part of the household language. His mother, Ata, provided warmth and resilience, yet the family's life remained unstable because wrestling demanded constant movement. California, Hawaii, Tennessee, and New Zealand became chapters in a childhood shaped by uncertainty. Money was often tight, and Dwayne learned early how quickly dignity could become dependent on the balance in a parent's wallet. He saw his mother stretch limited resources and watched his father fight for work wherever opportunity appeared. Those experiences planted something complicated inside him, hunger to succeed, mixed with a fear of returning to poverty. Long before audiences knew The Rock, Dwayne Johnson was simply a boy learning that security could disappear overnight, and that strength sometimes meant surviving circumstances no child should have to understand. The lesson would follow him for years, teaching him that security was fragile, ambition was necessary, and survival could demand a strength no child should have to name alone. The breaking point. At 14, Dwayne experienced the moment that would permanently alter his understanding of strength. In Nashville, after another period of financial instability, his mother, overwhelmed by pressure, stepped into oncoming traffic. A driver stopped in time, and Ata Johnson survived. But the image of his mother choosing that moment became one of the most frightening memories of his life. Years later, Johnson would speak about it publicly, not to sensationalize it, but to explain how deeply it shaped him. He came to understand that breaking does not mean weakness. Sometimes it means a person has been carrying more than one human being should have to carry alone. Football soon offered him something that felt permanent. At McKinley High School in Honolulu, his size, speed, and competitiveness made him an obvious athlete. The University of Miami awarded him a scholarship, placing him inside one of America's most powerful college football programs. For Dwayne, the path appeared clear. Football would become his escape from poverty, his proof that sacrifice had meaning, and perhaps the first thing in his life that could never be taken away. He believed the field would lead him toward the NFL. That certainty would not survive the difficult years ahead. $7 at Miami, Dwayne Johnson discovered the brutal difference between being talented and being exceptional at the highest level. The program was filled with future stars, and although Johnson worked relentlessly, he spent much of his college career behind players already destined for professional success. He graduated, but the NFL draft passed without his name being called. The dream that had carried him since adolescence suddenly became uncertain. In 1995, the Calgary Stampeders gave him another opportunity in the Canadian Football League. He arrived believing this might be his final doorway into professional football. It was. Within roughly 2 months, he was cut. He returned home with $7 in his pocket. Not a metaphor. $7. After years of training, scholarship, sacrifice, and absolute belief that his body and determination would be enough, he had almost nothing financially left. But the deeper loss was identity. Football had not simply been his career plan. It had been the structure around which he built his understanding of himself. When it disappeared, so did his direction. Johnson later described entering depression. He stopped training, withdrew from people, and struggled to imagine a future. The strongest-looking man in the room felt powerless inside, still finding a way back. The period after football was not a triumphant montage. There was no instant transformation, no perfect speech that repaired everything. Dwayne Johnson was depressed and unsure who he was without the sport that had defined him. He stayed isolated and struggled to find motivation. Yet during that difficult period, his relationship with his father became unexpectedly important. Rocky Johnson, a man whose career had been built on toughness, recognized something in his son that required a different kind of strength. He did not solve Dwayne's problems. He stayed beside him. The message was simple. This was not the end of his life. It was the end of one version of it. Slowly, Johnson began training again. He started rebuilding his body, but more importantly, he began rebuilding his identity. The $7 remained a permanent reference point, a reminder of how quickly certainty can disappear. He would later use that memory, not as humiliation, but as evidence that rock bottom can become a starting point. Football had failed to deliver the future he expected, but the qualities football had built, discipline, endurance, competitiveness, and an ability to perform under pressure, had not disappeared. They were waiting for another arena. Wrestling was waiting. The birth of rock. When Dwayne Johnson entered WWE in the mid-1990s, he initially performed as Rocky Maivia, a character built around his family lineage. It seemed logical. Honor his father Rocky Johnson and grandfather Peter Maivia, then present Dwayne as the next generation of a wrestling dynasty. The audience rejected it almost immediately. Instead of admiration, he heard relentless hostility. Chants telling Rocky to die echoed through arenas filled with thousands of fans. For someone recovering from failure and depression, public rejection on that scale could have been devastating. Instead, Johnson listened. He realized the audience was not responding to the version of himself the company was presenting. So he changed. He stopped trying to be the cheerful heir everyone expected, and created something sharper, bolder, and more authentic to the confidence he had discovered through hardship. The Rock emerged. His arrogance became comedy. His insults became entertainment. His physical presence became theatrical. Most importantly, he learned how to control a crowd that had once wanted him gone. The transformation was extraordinary because it did not erase rejection. It turned rejection into fuel. Soon, the same audiences chanting against him were repeating his catchphrases. His battles with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, and Mankind helped define an era. His new identity had only just begun for him, turning hate around. By the late 1990s, The Rock had become one of professional wrestling's defining figures. Championships followed, major rivalries became cultural events, and his phrases escaped wrestling and entered everyday American language. "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" became more than a catchphrase. It became part of pop culture. Yet, the deeper achievement was psychological. Johnson had learned how to take a verdict that once seemed final and reinterpret it as raw material. Football had told him he was not good enough for the NFL. The audience had told him Rocky Maivia was not worth cheering. Each rejection forced him to discover another version of himself. That pattern became central to his career. He did not succeed because failure stopped appearing. He succeeded because failure stopped having the final word. Wrestling also gave him something football never had: direct control over his identity. He could create a character, shape a story, read a room, and make an audience feel something in real time. Those skills would later become invaluable in Hollywood. But even as his wrestling fame reached enormous heights, another opportunity was approaching. Hollywood had begun noticing the physical presence, charisma, discipline, and unusual ability to connect with crowds. The Rock had conquered the wrestling arena. That lesson would become crucial when Hollywood came calling and demanded transformation from him later. The Hollywood gamble. Hollywood did not immediately treat Dwayne Johnson as a guaranteed star. His early opportunities were built largely around the spectacle of The Rock, rather than the complexity of Dwayne Johnson. Yet, he understood something important. Fame could open a door, but talent and discipline were required to keep it open. He began taking acting seriously, studying performances, learning the craft, and gradually expanding beyond the larger-than-life persona that made him famous. Roles such as The Mummy Returns and The Scorpion King established him as a commercial attraction. But the real transformation came when audiences began accepting him as more than a wrestler pretending to act. Johnson understood his unusual position. He was enormous, recognizable, funny, physically imposing, and capable of commanding attention without appearing threatened by other performers. Instead of hiding those qualities, he refined them. Hollywood eventually gave him opportunities across action, comedy, family entertainment, and major franchises. His partnership with studios became increasingly valuable because he could sell a movie before audiences even knew the story. The former football failure and wrestling reject had become one of the world's most bankable entertainers. But money was only part of the transformation. Johnson was also learning how to build something that belonged to him, something beyond individual movies or championship belts. That was the beginning of something much larger, building $7. The next phase of Johnson's life was about ownership. He had already learned that depending entirely on a single identity was dangerous, so he began building multiple pillars beneath himself. Acting became one pillar. Producing became another. Business partnerships, endorsements, fitness ventures, and entertainment projects expanded his reach. $7 Productions was not given a random name. Its identity came directly from the moment when Johnson returned home after being cut from the Canadian Football League with $7 in his pocket. The worst financial moment of his life became a permanent reminder of where he started. That decision reveals something important about his psychology. He did not want success to erase failure. He wanted success to remain connected to it. His companies became vehicles for creating opportunities rather than simply collecting paychecks. Johnson developed a reputation for relentless preparation, intense work habits, and a deliberate approach to his public image. The empire grew because the man behind it understood consistency. He could move between movies, television, sports entertainment, brand partnerships, and business without allowing any one category to completely define him. The $7 had become a billion-dollar philosophy. Never forget the floor, because remembering how low you once stood can change how you build everything above it. The memory remained, even as everything around him changed, and the stakes continued rising as ambition grew further. Strength has a cost. The public image of Dwayne Johnson is built around strength. He is massive, successful, wealthy, charismatic, disciplined, and seemingly tireless. But the most important part of his story is the contradiction beneath that image. The man known as The Rock has repeatedly spoken about depression, emotional pain, family struggles, and the difficulty of rebuilding after failure. His experience challenges the idea that physical strength protects someone from psychological suffering. It does not. Johnson's story also complicates the mythology of success. The billion-dollar empire looks inevitable when viewed backward, but nothing about his early life guaranteed it. Poverty did not guarantee ambition would pay off. A football scholarship did not guarantee an NFL career. A wrestling contract did not guarantee audience acceptance. A movie role did not guarantee Hollywood longevity. Every stage contained a plausible ending. What changed was his ability to reinterpret each ending as a transition. Johnson has spoken openly about mental health and periods when getting out of bed was difficult. For a celebrity whose public persona is almost synonymous with confidence, those admissions matter. They remind audiences that resilience is not permanent invulnerability. His success never erased the person who struggled beneath it, and that truth remained. Beyond Hollywood. As Johnson's career expanded, his influence moved far beyond entertainment. He became one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, a producer, entrepreneur, wrestling icon, and global brand. His ability to connect with audiences made him unusually powerful in an industry where popularity can disappear quickly. His public reach also generated another conversation: whether someone with his charisma, discipline, cultural recognition, and political independence could one day seek the presidency of the United States. Johnson has discussed politics and civic responsibility without committing himself to a presidential campaign, while public speculation has repeatedly placed his name into conversations about possible candidates. Whether he ever enters politics remains uncertain. What matters for his larger story is how far his identity has traveled from the young man who believed football was his only future. He once thought success meant making an NFL roster. Then it meant becoming a wrestling champion. Then Hollywood became the destination. Eventually, success became broader: controlling his time, building businesses, supporting family, producing stories, and creating opportunities for others. The presidency question is therefore less surprising than it first appears. The same audience connection that made The Rock extraordinary in wrestling and film naturally creates curiosity about what he might do with a national platform. That possibility remains part of the larger conversation surrounding him, because public influence can create expectations far beyond entertainment and business. The man behind The Rock. The most powerful number in Dwayne Johnson's story is not a box office total, salary figure, championship count, or business valuation. It is $7 represented the moment when every plan had failed simultaneously. The NFL was gone. The Canadian Football League was gone. The certainty of athletic success was gone. Depression had taken the energy needed to imagine another future. Yet, those same $7 later became the name attached to one of his production companies. That choice transformed an embarrassing memory into a permanent symbol of survival. It tells us something about Johnson that the muscles and movie posters cannot. He understands that identity is built through memory. Forgetting the worst day may feel like victory, but remembering it can create humility, gratitude, and perspective. The boy who watched his mother survive a devastating moment, the athlete who sat on a football sideline, the young man who returned home nearly broke, and the wrestler who heard thousands of people chant against him are all still inside the global superstar. The Rock did not emerge by destroying those earlier versions of himself. He carried them forward. That may be why his story resonates beyond celebrity culture. Most people will never build a billion-dollar empire or become a Hollywood icon, but almost everyone understands the terror of discovering that the future they planned is disappearing. That memory endured.